In this video, I'm comparing the 57 ppd module of the Pimax Crystal Super to the 50 ppd module from a performance perspective. The idea is that the 57 ppd module should be less demanding on the GPU, which could make it interesting for people with slightly weaker graphic cards. My questions: where does the 57 ppd have an advantage? And can the 50 ppd module maybe catch up with a few tricks? And honestly, I was pretty surprised by the result of this test. Hi, my name is Stefan, your VR Accomplice, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet and you are interested in VR hardware reviews and tests like this one, feel free to do that real quick. In my previous video, I already covered the 57 ppd module of the Crystal Super in detail, and I repeatedly compared it to the 50 ppd module. Even though I have several criticisms of the 57 ppd module in terms of pixel density and center sharpness, it does have an advantage. Personally though, I don't find the image sharpness of the 50 ppd module significantly worse. In contrast, it offers a noticeably larger FOV, a much bigger sweet spot, and the chromatic operations are nowhere near as distracting as on the 57 ppd module. Even though, to be honest, I'm slowly getting used to them. But for some users, the 50 ppd comes with a drawback. It requires more rendering power, which means the PC can hit its limits more quickly, especially if you don't have a very powerful GPU. But now we have the option to artificially reduce the FOV through Pimax Play. This has been possible for quite some time with the OpenMixer toolkit and even more granularly. But Pimax Play at least allows you to reduce the horizontal FOV. And that can definitely help the 50 ppd module if your goal is to reduce GPU load. So in this video, I'm looking specifically at what impact the FOV reduction has on the 50 ppd module and how close it can get to the performance of the 57 ppd module. For this test, I choose Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 and Contractor's Showdown. The Flight Simulator is well known for being extremely demanding, but Contractor's Showdown can also put serious load on your system with certain settings. Let's quickly recall the values for the 57 ppd module. Horizontal FOV of 102 degrees, vertical 87, and a binocular overlap of about 72%. The 50 ppd module, on the other hand, has around 125 degrees horizontally and about 107 degrees vertically, with a binocular overlap of roughly 70%. That means the 50 ppd module requires significantly more rendered image area, and that can have a noticeable impact on game performance. Or maybe not? We'll find out. And now the question: can the narrow mode of the 50 ppd module in Pimax Play provide similar savings to what the 57 ppd module achieves? Let's take a look at Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 first. I'm running it through Pimax OpenMixer with quad view 4V rendering, and honestly, the difference between the two modules with their normal FOV is almost negligible. The 57 ppd module offers just a few FPS more, nothing dramatic, but when we switch the 50 ppd module into narrow mode, performance actually becomes very similar to the 57 ppd module. Of course, the image sharpness of the 50 ppd module still can't beat the 57 ppd module. Nothing about sharpness changes through this trick. But in Contractor's Showdown, things take a completely unexpected turn. The game runs through Steam VR runtime. Pimax OpenMixer doesn't work with it. The narrow mode of the 50 ppd module does give us a little more performance, but in the end the average improvement is under 10 FPS and we end up with roughly 70 FPS in total. Now, here's where things get wild. With the 57 ppd module, using the exact same settings, I'm getting absolutely stable 90 FPS. This difference, especially when compared to the Microsoft Flight Simulator results, really surprised me. And in a shooter where you want as many FPS as possible to react quickly, that matters quite a lot. Here, the 57 ppd module can really shine in terms of performance. We are slowly getting to the end and to my conclusions. The 50 ppd module can benefit from narrow mode in some games, giving a small performance improvement, but it cannot reach the performance level of the 57 ppd module. So why does the narrow mode of the 50 ppd module provide so little performance gain? Let's take another look at the FOV and the binocular overlap. The vertical FOV doesn't change. No surprise there. The horizontal FOV drops to about 106 degrees, which is a noticeable reduction. But it's still higher than the values of the 57 ppd module. That means we do save some render resolution, but not nearly as much as with the 57 ppd module. You can put the numbers side by side. And in the end, it's simply a math problem. What really surprised me, though, is how much the binocular overlap improves. In 50 ppd narrow mode, it goes up to almost 88%. That's a massive value and can be extremely comfortable for people sensitive to binocular overlap differences, even if it doesn't translate into huge performance gains. Only in terms of binocular overlap does it achieve a surprisingly big boost, which genuinely surprised me and makes narrow mode interesting in a very different way than I expected. If you want the 50 ppd module to get even closer to the 57 ppd module in terms of FOV, there's no way around the OpenMixer toolkit. There you can adjust both horizontal and vertical FOV very precisely, something Pimax Play cannot do yet. In Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, the 57 ppd module doesn't stand out much in terms of performance, but in Contractor's Showdown, getting a rock-solid 90 FPS gives the Crystal Super a clear advantage with the 57 ppd module. You can probably tell that I really enjoy tests like these, and I love it when I discover something I didn't expect, and this test had several of those moments. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe and leave a thumbs up. And if you're thinking about buying a Crystal Super anyway, feel free to use my link and my code for a small discount. And to support my channel. Alright, take care and see you next time. Tschüss.